A major incident on the Grand Canal, on a passage boat leaving Dublin bound for Athy. A large crowd had gathered. 150 men, many of them drunk, forced their way onto a barge, in spite of the captain warning them that the boat would capsize if they did not leave. A certain Mrs. Cullen, spinster, was also on board in the capacity of a boatswoman.
Mooring and passage permits for masters of vessels, and we all know what that means when feminine versions tussle with standard definitions of waterways. Ireland. Float your boat. She's going lovely. She's a she, but she'll never drive one, because she'll need a ticket, planning, the facilitation of all the necessary arrangements, and an engine in serviceable order. Plus a padlock. Bet she got that all right, tightly around her chastity.
I walk along the canal, casting bread across water. A panic of ducks converges. Brazen, they close in. The green-headed mallard leads, at my feet stealing feed, could cause swelling, even death. A black moorhen, common as muck, red noses, jumps, humps and leaves. A show of head, pink legs, must have deserved it. They steal food from my hands while I look away at sunny skies and sigh, please. We need to have discussions about what toxins are in the canal. I think an autopsy needs to be done on the dead swans to see if is there something causing this, the town councillor told www.newspaper.com. The ducks run, crusts falling from beaks as ladies squeak, quack, and back to where they began, with faith holding shapes in metal splintered shins of endings and beginnings in a blind man's bluff. They wed and gave forth issue, yet no one wrote of what they spoke or how they... I spot horses pulling, nay, just one, the size of him, hauling along towpaths of a morning, heaving and straining, fetlocks lift and dig and drag a canal boat. Close up now, I watch sweat dripping down chestnut flanks, heaves and swoons. Yardmen would say, over 18 hands high, if it's a day. They would say, what fine beast you have there, madam, draft to dray your fare, as they run hands along broad hind quarters, measuring torque of muscled hauliers. Testosterone tautons along lines over water, touching canal boat.
It was 1792, in the year of our Lord, when disaster befell us, near the 8th lock. 5 respectable men, 2 fine dogs, and 1 woman drowned with a boat.
The draught horse pulls the barge past. I wave, but nobody's on board to wave back. Messrs. Riley and Sons, painted on the side in red and golden paint, is a shambles. Helmswomen, pro-sailing, starkly contrasting. Amateur yacht racing. It's an old man's industry, for the taking. Waves once made on inland ways, rippling idle women's stays. A horse-drawn bus, driven by Patrick Hardy, had just dropped a female passenger on the canal when one of the horses started to rear, startled by her strange countenance, due in part, it was said, to her rather unusual connections to the suffragette movement, which alters, as we know, gentle demeanours.
Also note that aquatic weed is generally more prevalent as the season progresses, and escape is restricted when tangled fronds furl around women's limbs. Thrashing will further ensure being ensnared in same vegetation. It can be eaten. Choose your sedition carefully, lest this happens.
Horse knows where to go, not when to end. Whoa, boy! He looks back, stops, but the boat floats on. I run along the path, leap onto the boat, try and stop it.
Sprinting in her trousseau nightie.
Not that there is any tide or flow, current above or down below. There would be a sign for that, along with life jackets in case of emergency, ripcords for tidal waves of disasters. Nothing like that. I grab a yellow rope, jump back onto land, wrap it around an old oak tree. But the boat, now tethered and pulled in tight, is an awful sight. The deck, upon inspection, would never pass muster. It is feathered in red and green hues of ducks eaten. Cannot be the ones only just seen.
Flyers advocating temperance floated on the surface. Little wonder wives have joined the praying band.
The Inspector of Navigation, requiring 2 weeks' notice due to unsociable behaviour down alleyways of Dublin town, Dove Black, mentions that she should shut her legs sharpish, and the Ishka flows past so fast you never even notice the life force of birth water flowing out through sluices left open by boys on the mitch. Togs on banks marking territories. No surprise then when she asks, "Am I safe?" I grab the horse, untie its harness, jump on back, no saddle, just reins.
Cannot guarantee that passage will be possible on every planned date.
Trot on! And we move away from the murder boat. Faster, faster, come on, cinder tracks, crack as he canters, and bloody streaks on horse's head and tears on his ears which heard of lucky escapes of distant villages and roofs seen. I steer towards these, but he won't veer. so stuck in his straightened ways of following canal paths. On he goes, towing lines, blinkered but unloaded. Not his first taste of freedom, I'm guessing, when he leans into woods, wronging ways. No boy.
I am going this way.
A horse speaks, others listen. Bad people do bad things, feel no guilt, die happy. Book of Jove, 1-42. Chuffy Cullen was one of those who had bad things happen to them. She did good, felt guilt, and died a blood-ath death full of sorrows. Do as you like and leave her, Beelzebub invites. Woods don't feel right, or the distance of water. Deep into blackened staffs, chafes as legs pressed to loins. Again, says I, intentions either ways, sways, permissions being arbitrary things when he swings and we lay among these. Do you hear me? Is there anyone? I was asking, is this skin I'm seeing? Is he actually doing that? He was even smirking. He stayed looking at me, not moving. When I got out to the canal, my mind went blank. After I remembered, it was because I had worn skimpy clothing. I lie back to see skies better through silhouetted leaves, because, when asked, I shall have to say it was raining, that I objected, fought, and was caught by my 3-foot mane of fairness in a clearing. Ask again, and am told.
The driver was pulled from the water by a passing policeman.
The stallion turns his head, pulls back his gums, and inside those lips I see the evidence of 1,000 years. Yellowed feathers and downy hair worn between notched teeth. He licks and swallows so that I may be sworn to forget. Not after this could Jove see his children and their children's children to the 4th generation, old and full of years. Old English, Osgaelga, or even Cant if the man be and says his language flies right, whichever lexicon you choose. The gravelled, cloven, hooved toes are webbing under water and hampering passage, unless masters have these.
Adequate fuel on board. Competent and adequate crew to operate the boat and locks. Minimum crew of 3. A lock on board your boat. Mooring lines of adequate length to handle a vessel through a lock, approximately 15 metres in length. No known mechanical problems with a boat. Length, beam, water and air drafts of their craft. Provide approximates if you don't have exact dimensions. Permit number and expiry date of current canal permit. Marine notice number 14.
And never paint a boat green, leave harbour on a Friday night or with a woman on board. Done right, the Grand Canal would make an iconic pilgrim way, conveniently signposted with Bodfulture illustrated hoardings, with teak surrounds, mapping territories where idle women were marked and never found, their names hidden within lists of grebes and warblers, herons, and no toads, because God knows we've none of them in Ireland, nor moles, burrowing secrets underground, because we're all above board along inland waterways. Not a snake in sight. Gave me a fright, it did.
I must have been mistaken.